Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
Right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joined by my other host,
Karen.
Karen, what is today's episode going to be about?
We're going to talk about the Volbeat concert in Milwaukee at the Rave.
Yes, and this was with Bad Wolves as their opener, the only other opener they had.
Yep.
This was July 28th at 7 p.m., as you said, at the Rave. This was part of their Servant of the Road tour. What's the name of this tour? Ticket prices real quick. We paid $63 for this, $15.36 in fees, and then $4.12 in tax. We did opt for a physical ticket, so $7 of that $15 fee was the physical ticket for the ticket and the shipping. So, yeah, $7 in fees then, really, at that point.
Yep.
$8, $7, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I don't care about that. You do.
Yeah, I don't. I like tracking it. It's fun. Sorry, trying to get my throat moist.
Are you okay to record?
No, I'm good. I'll be fine.
You said that your throat hurts.
Yeah, I'll be good.
Okay.
So this was definitely not our first time at the Rave. We'll talk more about the venue here in a little bit, I think. But this was our third time seeing Volbeat.
Yes, third time.
And first time seeing Bad Wolves.
Yes.
I guess, yeah, let's just jump into the venue then. We went up the night before on a Thursday, right? Because this was a Friday show.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to miss the show because of traffic and whatnot, because we drove up instead of taking the train, and traffic sucked. It always does for some reason going up to Milwaukee. But whatever, we got up there Thursday, worked from the hotel Friday. And before going to the show, we kind of went, the hotel had this little patio thing we went to. And it seemed like everybody on the patio was going to the show because we were all talking to each other about going to this show, about past shows we went to. It was a really cool kind of atmosphere up there at that point, just everybody talking about music and concerts they'd seen. I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's the two guys sitting there smoking cigars, and we walk up and they're like, you going to the show tonight? I'm like, yep. Guess I could tell because our ghost shirt on or something like that.
Yeah, you had a ghost shirt. I don't remember what shirt I wore that night, but probably Lamb of God or something. I don't know.
And I think they saw Volbeat with that show. They had mentioned hey, we saw them. We saw Volbeat with them at that show too.
At Rosemont, yeah.
The same show we were at, which was kind of cool to be like, oh shit, really? We were there too, type thing.
Yeah. Because they said that they don't live in Chicago, but they live in Illinois. So
yeah. Made our way up to the venue. Normally we'd park there, but we had some issues last time we parked, so we're not doing that again.
No, so we decided to just walk.
Yes.
And leave our car in valet parking.
Which wasn't that bad, really.
No, it's not that bad.
It was like a mile walk, 2 mile walk.
Yeah, mile and a half maybe. Yeah, it's not that far.
It was a bit toasty in the sun, but other than that, whatever, it was fine. We got to the Rave, and the entrance is on the side, and we just sort of sat there in the shade for a little bit to cool down before going in. And that's when you would see this line of people down past the Rave walk up, this big group of people, and they'd go in, and the security person who led them in, or the staff member who led them in, then went back down and walked to that same corner. And it kind of became apparent they're holding people back down there to let them in, which was kind of weird. We've never experienced that aspect. Or at least I haven't. You did, I think, with Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Metal Fest, yeah, the first day. I stood with the general admission, which probably didn't have to. I could have probably just walked in with you. Nobody's checking tickets, so whatever. But yeah, so we they line you up kind of by the parking lot, down the street. So that's what they were doing this night too.
And were they doing sections of people? Do you know?
Well, I don't know because I was pretty close to the front. I was in.
Okay.
If they did, I was in the first section.
Okay.
So
it seemed weird that it wasn't all right, everybody can keep going type thing, because that walkway from the door down to the end of the Rave, down to the end of the block, and then you cross the block to the parking lot, which is where it would start, right? There was no line there. It was just people us sitting in the shade, waiting, but it was just an empty sidewalk basically. So I was really confused on why they had people line up down there to start and bring stuff up.
Because we've never had a line at the rave. Like, we just walk in.
Yeah, I was trying to think when we typically would show up. We never always would show up like an hour early. Like this time we showed up at doors.
Well, we showed up an hour early because they were doing like a beer garden thing.
Exactly. They had a beer garden and food trucks.
Yeah.
So we wanted to check that out. And I figured like, hey, let's just go hang out there for a little bit before going into the actual venue. But yeah, like we sat there for a good 45 minutes or so before we even decided like, all right, let's go and get in line.
Yeah.
Before going all the way down there. There was one point where a group of people were coming down towards the door. Another staff member held them up because there was a line coming up from that bottom line to let them in. So this line coming down had to wait for the people going in, that section going in, and then they were able to proceed down to the end of the line. So I think I made the joke at the time, like, oh, it's a line to get in line.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just something we've never experienced before, having to wait to get in. Normally, we just walk in and there's no big deal.
Yeah, I was not a fan of how long this took because, I mean, like I said, we sat there for 45 minutes with people doing these small little chunks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of time where the people at the door, I mean, granted, the people at the door really didn't do anything except for not allow other people in, but because like, and tell people like, hey, go in, go in, go in. But it's like there was so much downtime right then.
Yeah.
Where they weren't doing anything. So.
I guess it could have been for just, managing crowds, managing entry. Like, because once you got in there, you had to do this like a little windy. Mm-hmm. You go down the windy stairs, you go across into that main little.
Or you go down the ramp.
Yeah.
And then you go through the back side where like there's a stage back there, but nothing was happening.
In a bar.
And then through like the main entrance or main lobby area where like code check is and everything.
You get wanded down, you scan your ticket, and then you go up the stairs to scan your ticket to go out to the beer garden.
Yep.
Sort of like it was with Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Yeah. They had both doors open, so you like go out one and then come in the other.
And then once you got into the beer garden area, you're free to go into the main hall.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed I was getting a little frustrated on the entry into the.
Yeah, for sure. Like you thought it was really funny, like how they were doing it. And then you got very angry very quickly.
Because, like we were sitting there for, like I said, 30, 45 minutes waiting in a small chunk. And it's like, if you just let it flow, it's going to go, like, sure, it's backed up, but you now don't have to wait for this, like.
Yeah, I think it might have been for traffic control as well, but they could have done that in a different way where they just have a person standing down there at the road. So if somebody comes that needs to go through, then you hold the people back, let the cars through, and then.
Also, why are you wrapping it around across the street? Why don't you wrap it around on the same block the building is on? Unless there were houses along the way behind it, I think. So unless it's
there's houses on both sides though.
But even on the parking lot side.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know if it was like for.
No, like right at the end of that parking lot. Then there's houses. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know why it had to cross that. I don't know. I do remember getting frustrated with getting in because in my mind it was. This is going very slow. It could have been more efficient. If it was more efficient, I get in faster. If I get in faster, I'm buying more booze from you. Because I would have bought something from the beer garden. And instead, I didn't. Like, let's just go up to the main hall and get a beer up there. Like, I'm not going to hang out here. I think we got pizza, and that was about it.
Yeah, and I'm glad I got the pizza. We'll find out. But
yeah. The other kind of cool thing I noticed with this venue this time around is when we were there for Milwaukee Metal Fest, we had an idea of the main ballroom and one of the second larger stage because that's where we saw Avatar. And we knew they were there. We just didn't know how they were all sort of
we didn't know the flow of the building as well until Milwaukee Metal Fest.
When everything was open.
Because otherwise, like when you go for a concert, they just kind of funnel you in a certain way. And so you don't really, at least for us not being there that often, I don't know how many times we've been there, like 6 now.
It's been,
I mean, it's growing. The number's growing, but before it was like you just kind of got funneled to where you were going. So you didn't really know like what the other rooms were if you hadn't been there.
That's what I'm saying. When we saw Avatar on that second stage.
We're saying second stage because it was the second stage for Milwaukee Metal Fest.
It's also the second largest, I think.
Yeah, like the smaller room.
Yeah, smaller room. Well, when we saw Avatar there, I remember seeing that show and being like, I kind of remember where this is. I kind of know, like, I think I remember that bar when we went to the ballroom, but I don't at the same time. I'm really confused. I kind of have a geography of where everything is, but I also don't. And this time around, they had black banners and they had everything closed down.
Yep.
So you couldn't. So that's why I think
Yeah.
knowing the layout now a lot better and going in and seeing like, oh, you have this section closed off. That's why it was hard for me the first time to sort of pinpoint where everything was.
Yeah, and also like I said, like they're just funneling you through.
Yeah.
So like you don't really take time to look around and like see, oh, there's actually doors behind me, or
Yeah.
oh, if I go up these stairs and back this way, now I'm at another stage, like
Yep.
that sort of thing. So.
But I thought that was really cool that now that we've been to Milwaukee Metal Fest and had basically free reign of everything, now getting to see just one show there, it's like, oh, all right, now I understand how you're doing this. And
Yeah.
I kind of like that stuff personally of like trying to figure out the behind the scenes type stuff. So I thought that was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I remember the first couple times we went there, we're like, man, there has to be like a lot of stages, a lot of I don't even remember what we said, but because we didn't do the podcast then, but we were just talking with each other and just being, you know, like, oh, there's a lot of, or there must be like, that's a really large building for 2 stages, which turns out there's like 4,
Yeah.
I think.
I think so. So you have the main ballroom, the second stage, the bar,
The basement.
and the basement.
Yeah.
So 4.
Yeah. That we know of. I'm pretty sure that's all of them.
That could be all. I do remember with Avatar somebody saying, oh yeah, there's like 7 stages here. And that's where like, oh, all right, so there is a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool to see that with the venue. Entry was kind of like, whatever. I wasn't happy with it, but whatever. It's the Rave. I love the Rave. Let's go hang out. Then let's go up to the main ballroom where this show is going to take place and head up there. So we did. Got there a little early. I think I went and got a beer. You finished the pizza. And
Well, you finished the pizza.
All right, yeah, whatever. we split the pizza.
We got one slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And we weren't really hungry. I think it was more just to support them, like to do the beer garden thing.
Yeah, I felt like we should have, because we didn't really eat before going.
Yeah, like we should have something to
Got
eat.
like cheese curds. Like we're going to need food before the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then we saw that they were having the beer garden and pizza. And it's like, all right, let's go eat that there instead of finding a restaurant on the way.
I just remember both of us weren't hungry. That's all I remember.
Yeah. It's more like a necessity type thing. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, then we get our spots for Bad Wolves, and they start playing.
But before that,
Yeah.
we realized that it is very, very hot in there.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out when to bring that up.
Oh, okay.
But it was unbelievably fucking hot.
Yeah, so as soon as we, like, honestly, as soon as we went in the doors, I'm like, it is really hot in here. And you're like, oh, just in this little area, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we go outside, wait for the pizza, get the pizza, go in, and then we're eating it or sharing it. And I think you went to go get a beer or go to the bathroom or something.
Up in the main ballroom.
But you were like, I want the crust. And I was like, okay, I'll leave you the crust or whatever. But at that point, it was so hot. Like I was ready to fan myself with the plate, which is what I ended up doing the entire concert. But I was like, if he doesn't come, I'm throwing this crust away and wiping off the crumbs, and I'm using this as a fan.
I did see a couple people like look over you every now and then because they had taken the plastic cups you got your beer put in.
Yeah.
And they broke them in half and used half of a cup to fan themselves off.
Yeah.
Kind of pointed at you like, oh shit, a plate would have been much better.
Yeah. And I mean, any other time I would have just thrown the plate away. But like, luckily we hadn't finished the pizza before we got up there. And I was just like, I don't care if this has a grease stain on it. Like, it is so hot up here. And I saw some women with like the big fans. I'm like, well, they were obviously prepared. I wasn't prepared for that.
And I think at Milwaukee Metal Fest, I was talking to somebody who said they saw a show in the summer at the Rave, because this is the first time we've seen a show
In the summer.
In the summer,
Yes,
yeah.
it's always the winter time, and then Milwaukee Metal Fest was May.
Yep.
Which one day I think it did get pretty warm in there, because I remember standing by the windows a lot that day.
So yeah, so when we walked in, I said, "Oh, it's just this little area." I did think up in the main ballroom there would be, because up in the balcony they have windows all across it, and I was like, oh, that's fine. They're going to open all those windows, and there's a decent breeze today, so that's going to flow in and out. Like, we're going to have good air movement. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
When I always thought that there's like a little decoration on the ceiling in the middle of the main ballroom, and I always just assumed that was air conditioning. And it was like how they did the vent was to make it like look ornate and stuff. But
it turns out
not.
there's probably no air conditioning in this at all.
So I think there either is air conditioning or forced air, because when we walked behind, so I think it was during Volbeat. Sorry, we're way ahead. But we it was for Volbeat. Like you went and got water and beer, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna stand here. But while you were gone, I'm like, it is hot. I need to go outside or go stand by the window by the merch area. And when we walked past that, there's one area like on the wall that was like cool air coming through. Do you remember that?
I do not. No.
Like there was a lot of people standing there, and I remember feeling cool air. So I'm like, it's either just forced air that is bringing the breeze in, or it's the air conditioning.
Where at? In like stage left, stage right?
Oh God.
It's the opposite arm.
Yeah, but we were walking, so I'm trying to think.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
So it would have been stage left, all the way in the back, because we walked like through that back path, not like through the people on the floor, but on the back path.
If you haven't been there, the main floor is sort of like it's a step down, and then they have that walkway all around the perimeter. Yeah. And then the soundstage obviously in the center, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's before you get to the bar over on the side, or on the left side. Stage left on the side.
Yeah. Okay.
Like right when you get up the stairs. So it's before we got to that. Anyways, I'm explaining way too much, and you're not going to remember.
No, I do remember. A vague idea of where you're talking.
Yeah, so I do remember feeling cool air during that walk.
Okay.
But again, I don't know if it was air conditioning or if it's just forced air. Because then they also have like the big fans in the wall, like what you see at a restaurant that like pulls the air out.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice those either?
No.
Those are on when you go up the stairs once, like you're in the VIP area. But so there's one there before you go up the stairs to the balcony.
Okay. And that's where I was wondering if that's where the cool spot was, and coming like down those stairs from those windows up top.
Well, I remember feeling more coolness by the stairs than where we stood for Bad Wolves and Volbeat, like on the other side.
Yeah, that side is definitely cooler because you also not only have that where you go up to that balcony, right? You also have on around the other end of that, you have the stairs going up to like the patio outside, which is always open, and like in the winter you always have like a smoke smell as well as cool breeze coming down. So like that's where I was like, oh, maybe that's also where it's coming down from that area as well.
Yeah. Anyways, we should get into the music. We're talking about the venue, but it was very, very hot. So if you go to the Rave during the summer, and it was like 90 degrees that week.
It was very hot, and like Chicago's been a pretty mild summer this year, so we haven't been used to like hot days yet. And this was like the first hot day of the summer for us, and that venue was ungodly hot. Yeah,
so just be prepared. If you go during the summer, it might be warm.
Yeah. Before we get into the music, I do want to talk about the balcony. This is the first time we went all the way to the top.
Yes, yeah, because there's like a smoking balcony.
Yeah, so you go up one flight of stairs to get to the balcony where the VIP section is. And then you go up one more flight of stairs to sort of like this outdoor seating area with two bars. It's pretty big, pretty open area.
Yep.
A lot of people up there in between concerts up there smoking. So if you're not a big fan of cigarette smoke, you're going to get a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, because it is the smoking area. So, but I mean, we went up just because it was hot.
We wanted to try to get up there to get some cool air breeze and whatnot going through, but it really wasn't. It was still super fucking hot up there.
It was hot, and it's like I was almost ready to say just go up to get some fresh air, but it's definitely not fresh air because and I never saw the city. You said that you went up to try to get like a view of the city. I wanted to, but it was so busy.
Yeah, I think by the time I did go up there, it was because storms are moving in too. We'll get into that, but I wanted to get like the thunder and then turn it around because they also have TV monitors and speakers where you can hear the music. But I went up there during Volbeat, and they really didn't have the music turned up at all. There was a lot of people just hanging. Not a lot. There's a few people up there just chattering, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. I wish they had the speakers up a little louder.
Yeah.
One other comment about up there. There was one of the bars, one of the servers was filling when you got a cup of water. Down below, what they would do is they'd fill your plastic cup with water. It all wouldn't fit in there, so they just hand you the bottle to take that last little swig, and they take the bottle back. Up top, they were filling the cup with ice, pouring half a thing of water in and giving that to you. And at first I was like, oh, that's really fucking stupid. Like, you're paying $4. Like $4, right? $4 or $6.
I don't know how much it was.
Yeah, I think maybe like $6. But whatever it was, you're buying this water and you're getting half of it because they're giving you all ice. I want cold water, but it got me a little frustrated, and I was like, it's so fucking hot in here. Water should be free.
It should be free. Yeah.
And it got me thinking, like, I think water should be free at all venues, honestly. Like, and not just in a bathroom sink. Like,
Right.
no,
Right.
there should be free water at all venues, regardless. Concert venues, movie theaters, restaurants. Like, I think every venue should, like, water should just be free.
Yeah.
Not even like I'm charging you to cover the cost. Like, you eat that cost.
Yeah.
Or you put in drinking fountains.
Yeah. Like you could go to Costco and buy a 30-pack of water for $4. So
Right. So
if you're buying cases of water, you're getting a deal.
yeah.
Anyways, I agree too. Especially when it's so hot, you should give free water no matter what.
And then it got me thinking, like, well, maybe that's actually what she's doing. Is if you got water, she's just going to give you half of it with a thing of ice.
You think so?
But she's giving you 2 for free. I don't know. I was like, if that's happening, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't go up to buy water. I was going to if I stood in line there. But I didn't. So I just, whatever.
Yeah, I think our beverage amount at this concert was way more than any other concert because every time you went to get a beer, you got 2 waters.
Yeah. I needed the water.
And normally we get like 1 or 2 waters a night, and then you get like 3 beers a night.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 waters every single time.
1 beer, 2 water. 1 beer, 2 water.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you said, let's get into the music.
Yeah.
Bad Wolves, first time seeing them. Their set list this night is I'll Be There, Killing Me Slowly, Lifeline, No Monsters.
No Masters.
House of Cards, Hear Me Now, Never Be the Same, No Messiah, If Tomorrow Never Comes, and they ended with their most popular song, the Cranberries cover, Zombie.
Yes. Which, that's how I know them, is from Zombie.
Same.
Yeah. But then I also know, or I remember hearing the No Masters song as well. I just didn't know that was them, but I was excited to see them.
I was too. The only song I knew of theirs going in was Zombie. I may have heard 1 or 2 other songs, but it never stuck with me. Zombie always did, because I don't know, I did like the Cranberry version, and I like their version too. Maybe their version a little better.
I like theirs better than the Cranberries. I didn't even know it was the Cranberries until one day I was like, oh, this song, I like it. And you're like, oh, it's a cover.
Yeah.
And like we had that whole conversation, then you played the original. I'm like, oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. I just prefer Bad Wolves version better.
Yeah, so that song I didn't realize was supposed to be a duet with Dolores from Cranberries, the singer.
Yep. Yeah.
And you knew that going in, right?
I didn't know. I knew it before this concert.
Yeah. But I mean, when we first started talking about it.
When we first started talking about it, like when I listened to Zombies by Bad Wolves, and then you brought up that it was a Cranberry song, then I started looking into it.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's how I found out. That they were supposed to sing it together, but then she passed away before that.
Before they could do it, which was really sad.
Yeah, and there's even a part in the song or the cover of Bad Wolves where they change a date to 2018, which is the year that she passed away.
Oh, really?
You never noticed that?
I guess I did. I just thought that was the year. I guess it would have been the year they recorded it, which was when she passed away.
Yeah. So I don't know what the original date is, but they say 2018 instead of the date that the original song has.
Yeah. And it's really cool. The music video too. We watched it right before this show as well. There's a little bit at the beginning, basically saying like, "Hey, we were supposed to do this with Dolores. Unfortunately, she passed away. We decided to continue with this song, and the money that we raise from this is going to go to her foundation, her family, which is super fucking awesome of Bad Wolves to do."
Yeah.
What'd you think of their set though? Other than that,
yeah. So I do have to say, and we've had some complaints about the rave in the ballroom with the sound sometimes. And we always thought it was because we always stood on like stage left, like all the way on the side.
Either way, we'd stand on either the wings.
Yep.
Right? We'd stand.
Yep.
Because the speakers are really weird, where it's sort of focused mainly in the center,
Yeah.
and there's not a whole lot of speakers going out to the wings.
Yeah, the rave ballroom is a big oval.
Yep.
So if you're on, like those wings, like on the very edge of the oval, the speakers don't hit very well. And so we'd been to a couple concerts there, and I'm just like, I don't like the ballroom because it sounds horrible. But we had never stood in the middle of
Which is where we stood this time, like right in front of the sound stage.
Yep. And the first 2 songs, I was like, it doesn't sound good.
So I thought the same thing, and I took it more of like, they need to tweak the sounding.
Yep.
There's something up with the mics, and the speakers just aren't jiving just quite yet.
Yeah.
But it should only be a couple songs, and it kind of
It
was,
did.
wasn't it?
Yeah. It got much better. So I think they did do the tweaking that they needed to, and it sounded much better for the entire night. It sounded so much better.
Yeah.
I thought. But that was my first thing, was the first couple songs. But then also the first song, which is I'll Be There. I've never heard that song before, but it was a little rappy to me.
Oh, really?
Did you notice that?
I don't.
And even when I listened to it, like on the playlist, because we put these on the playlist, obviously, it starts off like a little rappy.
Huh. All right. I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah, like go back and listen, and if you can envision him on the stage when he was singing it, it just has that cadence of like a rap song more than like a metal song, I guess. So then I was with the first song, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because I'm not really into the rap. Unless you're Linkin Park with new metal, but otherwise, like, I'm just not into it.
Yeah.
But no, like, I mean, it got heavier as we went on and stuff. So
yeah, and then like the second or third track, our song, a pit started to open up right.
That was probably the fourth song, No Masters.
No Masters.
Yeah, that's where it got heavier, and then House of Cards is heavier too, and then it slowed down a little bit.
I do remember him then after that song, or whatever song it was, calling out some people in the pit, like, yeah, let's keep this pit going. I see you there, Bandana. Let's go. You got this. And it's about this time I realized there was somebody in the pit that we saw at Rockfest.
Yes, yeah.
With Thrash of the Titans.
Yeah, and I saw him actually walk in, and I was like,
oh, did you really?
Yes. So I saw him walk in, and I was about ready to say something to you and be like, I've seen him before. Like, but then I was like, well, we've been to Milwaukee for a lot of concerts. I'm like, maybe we've just seen him here multiple times or whatever. But then you brought up Rockfest. I'm like, yes, that's where we saw him with Thrash of the Titans.
So it's weird. We were standing there for Thrash of the Titans, and I think I saw him and all his friends, or all three sets with Thrash of the Titans. I believe that's what it was. I think
so, yeah.
But definitely the first two. And when I saw them on the first, they were stood near us during the first set. And when I saw him in the first set, I was like, he looks very familiar. I can't put my finger on it. And I thought Milwaukee, but I wasn't sure if it was Milwaukee or not.
Yeah.
Or if it was just like, maybe he just has a look that I've seen before. But I bounced it off, like, maybe I've seen him, maybe I haven't, whatever. This time, though, saw him, and it was like, Rockfest.
Yeah.
Thrash of the Titans.
Yeah. I wonder if they were at Milwaukee Metal Fest, too. Like, we didn't...
They may have been, yeah.
Like, bring that up in that conversation, but...
But then during one of the songs in the pit, they did the exact same thing they did with Matt, I think, on the second set, is Matt came down for Thrash of the Titans at Rockfest, and started pitting with people, and then
before they shut it down.
And then there was one part where they would throw their arms up on their shoulders, and everybody would just get in this giant circle and headbang together.
Yeah.
And they did that during this show too, in the middle of the pit, which was fucking awesome to see here, and just that instant callback to like, yep, I've seen you guys at another show. You're doing the same shit. You're having a blast. You're fucking energized. You're keeping the crowd energized by doing your shit in the pit. Like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Good to see you there.
Yeah. And then he did go up and talk to him a little bit, like very briefly.
After the show, we walked up. We were like, "Hey, were you guys at Rockfest?" I'm like, yeah, all of us were. Like, yeah, we were there too. We saw you guys at Thrash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see you around. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, but as we were walking away, he's like, "Oh my gosh, they recognize us from Rockfest."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that. No.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I was like, "Oh, we should have like stood and talked for a little bit longer."
Oh, we should have. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to like interrupt them either, or like if they need to go do something.
Don't want to interrupt them, and we wanted fresh air. So that's when we went up to try to get
fresh air,
try to cool down, right? Because it was fucking hot. So I can't even imagine how warm they were.
I know.
Running around, bouncing around, all that shit. But those were my main memories. I don't remember a whole lot about the set. I kind of expected it to be a little bit longer.
Right, because it was only the two bands.
Yeah.
So I figured that they would play for like an hour and 15 minutes, and then Volbeat would play for 2 hours. And they only played for 40 minutes.
I mean, that's still pretty good for an opener.
But that's a second opener.
Yeah, that's your second opener. I would have liked another 10, 15, 20 minutes.
But when you only have like two bands, you can play for 35 more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It did feel a little short to me. The energy was really good on the crowd in the stage. Sorry. The energy was really good on the stage and in the crowd. The sound outside of the first couple songs, it got better. I liked the music. I don't remember the music. The main thing I remember is the heat, and that kind of took a little bit away from me.
Yeah, it did. Like, because I think we're all focused on well, not all, but you and I definitely were focused on the heat more than anything of, it's very warm in here. Like, we need to get some air.
And then there was some point, I can't remember exactly when, but you're like, oh, these fucking people around us keep chattering. And
yes,
I didn't notice the chatter until you said it, and then that's all I noticed was the chatter.
I have a really big, I don't want to call it a problem, but like when I hear chatter like that, where everybody's just talking, I can't focus on anything else besides the chatter. Like, and I don't hear anybody saying anything. It's just everybody's talking.
It's like being in a restaurant and you like that noise of like everybody's talking at once, doing their own thing.
Yes. And then I can't focus on what I'm supposed to be focusing on. It happens in the office all the time when everybody starts talking. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and I probably clench my fists and then I put both headphones in or whatever. But obviously at a concert, you can't put your headphones in.
It's something I think you got to work on. I don't like it, but I can definitely focus. I can drown some of it out sometimes.
Yeah. I used to be able to, and now I feel like that's like the main thing that I focus on.
I don't know. Yeah. Weird. Maybe you just need to work on focusing on something else. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Work on myself. Just work on myself.
I don't know what to say. Like, once you brought it up, then that's all I could focus on too. But before that, I didn't notice it at all until somebody has to like point it out to me. Most of the times. The
first time I ever remember this happening was it Jack White for the Christmas?
Probably, yeah.
Or no. It was that other one that we went to at Aragon that wasn't really metal. It was
Flogging Molly's.
Flogging Molly's.
Okay.
That concert was, I think, either that one or Jack White. It was at Aragon the first time I ever realized it, where I'm just like, everybody's fucking talking. Like, they're playing, so stop talking. Like, I don't know. It drove me nuts.
Yeah.
And then this concert happened again.
Yeah, the chatter sucks for sure. Definitely it does suck. But once you brought it up, then that's all I could hear. And it was right around Zombie when it really started like, shut the fuck up. Like, this is their main song. It's their last song. Stop talking for 3 fucking minutes. Please.
Yeah.
Anyway, great band. I want to see them live again.
I want to see them again. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get a chance at some point, but the heat definitely took it away from me. It's going to be a common theme throughout the night, honestly. But
yeah, because Volbeat's even worse.
Yeah, so let's get into that. We got to Volbeat. They played 16 tracks. They opened with The Devil's Bleeding Crown, Temple of Euchre, Seal the Deal, Lola Montez, Die to Live, Sad Man's Tongue, with snippets of Ring of Fire. I do remember,
right, at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Shotgun Blues, A Warrior's Call / I Only Want to Be With You, Black Rose, The Devil Rages On, Becoming, Last Day Under the Sun, Fallen, Wait a Minute My Girl, For Evic, whatever that is, EVIGT, For Evik.
I don't know.
Still Counting is what they closed out on. Sad Man's Tongue with the Ring of Fire. I do remember getting a beer at that point, and I think that's when we separated and we ended up coming back together type thing.
Yep. Yeah. That's when you left to get a beer, or I think you had to use the restroom and get a beer. And then I was just like standing there and I was like dripping sweat and I'm like, I can't do this. And I think I felt sick, if I remember right, at that moment. Like, it was just so warm and I felt sick and I was like, I'm going to go get some air.
Yeah, because you were over on stage right at that time.
Yeah.
And I got a beer on stage left or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly. That's where the restrooms were. Then you ended up meeting me right over there too. And you're like, I need to go down. So we went down to the floor below and stood in front of that window where there was a nice breeze coming in.
Yeah. Because that's when the storm was kind of coming in.
Met a few other people down there at that point, had like a really cool conversation with them. And they were the same way. They're like, it's so fucking hot. Like, we needed to come down here. They also wanted to get merch and they ran out of like the tour merch. And they were a little upset about that.
Yeah, that was so surprising that they ran out of merch.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. You have so much.
Yeah.
But their point was like, well, where are you playing tomorrow night? Where's that merch?
Yeah.
Like, just break that out. Sell your shirts now. Sell it. Like, but it might be where they split it up and that's already on its way to the next venue type thing.
Like, they don't have it here in Milwaukee. Yeah.
But that's always a thing. Like, we don't always get our merch right away either. We try to wait to the end or middle or something like that.
I don't like standing in that line at the like right when you get there, because you know it's going to be less later on.
Yeah.
But I guess that is something.
Unless there's like posters, I want like a poster.
Yeah.
Then it's like I'm gonna stand in line right away because that will probably be on by the time I get.
I was gonna say like you do. I never even thought about taking the chance of them running out of something.
Yeah.
Except for posters.
Posters definitely. Tour shirts never. I never thought about a tour shirt running out.
No.
Because usually bands will, at the end of the tour on their website, like
they'll sell them.
Here's leftover shirts for sale.
Yeah.
Pick them up real quick. Metallica does their garage sale every year where it's like you get a random tour shirt for $5.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess the only other one was when we saw Ghost in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yep.
But that was their last show, I think.
Was it really? It was toward the end.
Or second to last show of that tour. I think it was their last show.
I think it may have been.
And they ran out of the shirt that I wanted. I don't know. It was the whole thing. And then we ended up just getting an extra large, and we looked at their website and they were like, oh, the shirt's here. Like, I could have just gotten it on their website.
They were selling everything online at the same time too. Yeah. But I remember that all happened during, A Sad Man's Tongue and the Ring of Fire. We stood down there maybe for Shotgun Blues for sure. And maybe a Warrior's Call. I can't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah. I know we were not in the ballroom for a Warrior's Call, which I actually really like that song. So
the first time we saw Volbeat was with Knotfest Roadshow in Denver.
In Denver, yep.
They were the last band before Slipknot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Because I think that day was 5 bands or 4 bands.
I think it was 5. I can't remember the 5th.
I remember 5. I think it was 5 bands.
Slipknot, Volbeat, Behemoth, Gojira, and I can't remember who the 5th was.
Somebody like right away, right when we got there, like as the doors opened.
I can't remember. It's really frustrating me. I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah. Anyways.
But when we went up to go to the bathroom and get drinks before going down to see Volbeat. That was gonna be our last drinks and bathroom break before the end of the show.
Yep.
And the line was so long and so slow that Volbeat goes on, and I think A Warrior's Call was what they came out with. I can't remember. To me, that's going to be their last song, but I guess Still Counting makes sense to be the last. Both of those are their popular songs. Yeah. So, but I guess also The Devil's Breeding Crown.
Yeah.
Is a very popular song too. So.
Yeah, and that's how they started when we saw them in Rosemont.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. They actually played most of these songs when we saw them at Rosemont, with a few different ones at Rosemont than here. But almost the same set, same number.
Yeah.
They played a lot at Rosemont.
They did play a lot because they were co-headlining with Ghost. Yep. So it was their own sort of, they got a headliner slot basically.
Yeah. Which makes me feel like not Zombie. Oh my gosh. Bad Wolves should have
been a co-headliner.
They should have just done a co-headlining show.
Yeah. I can't remember what song it was either, but there's a saxophone part. I think there's a few songs, but I remember at Rosemont that when that happened, the piano and saxophone came up through the center of the stage.
Oh, really?
Yep. And they had the hats on. They had sort of the aesthetic of Volbeat, and they played saxophone live and the piano live, and then boom, they came down. And there were 2 different tracks at Rosemont. They did that with Ghost.
Where at a stadium show you can do things like that, because you're setting up the stage.
Sure, yourself. You can do that pop up, pop down thing, but also you can just have them come out off the side of the stage. They could,
yeah.
At this show, I don't think they had the saxophone live. I think it was a backing track, and a part of me is thinking, because even Ghost uses saxophone. I think one of the Poppies comes out and they revive him, and he comes out and plays the saxophone for a bit. So I'm wondering if that saxophonist was the same one.
Oh.
And it's Ghost is we're gonna use it. You have parts. He can they know that part. If you want them to come out and play, you can just throw them a few extra bucks and they'll do that.
It could have been.
So that's where I'm oh, that's really cool when bands start to utilize or allow the bands lower on the bill to utilize their effects, their equipment, their people to do cool things like that. That was the one thing I do remember is seeing the saxophone. Oh, I remember in Rosemont they popped up through the middle. This sounds like a backing track, not a live person.
Yeah.
But again, we were off to the side, so they could have been blocked on the side of the stage we didn't see. It sounded like a backing track to me. I wish it would have been more prominent in the center of the stage. That's the one thing.
Oh, okay. That never crossed my mind at all about a saxophone. No.
No, I remember thinking that when we were sitting there watching it, it was like, oh, this was live at Rosemont. Why is this not live here? Type thing.
Okay.
Other memorable moments for you with Volbeat?
It was hot.
other than the heat?
I really want to see them again because I'm really actually disappointed that a lot of the time I was focused on I need air, and not necessarily focused on the music. And I do remember after we went downstairs, and then we came back up probably during like Black Rose time frame, like song 9 or 10. And then we just stood on stage left for a while. We didn't really venture back into the crowd. But I remember there was a whole bunch of people in front of us and they were dancing and singing and having fun. And I was like, I want to be those people, but it's really hot. And if I stop fanning myself, I'm going to pass out.
Yep.
So I'm like, I want to see them again so that we can be those people in the middle of the crowd dancing and having a good time.
And when we did get back up there, you pointed out a few people to our left were the two guys on the roof.
Oh, yeah. I saw them like 2 other times, too.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You'd, like, even when we were walking through, I tried to be like, hey, Brian, like, turn around, stop walking, but you didn't hear me, I guess. So.
No. No, I didn't know that. That was my first time seeing it. I thought that was really cool because normally when we see people before a show or in line or something like that and we're talking to them, once we get in the show, we like never see them again.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to like, oh, shit, they're there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, there was thunderclouds rolling in, storm rolling in. And I really, really was hoping that would roll in during the show and just the cool breezes would start coming through. The temperature would drop from 120 to like 80. Would have been so nice. But no, it didn't really happen at all.
I do remember one time looking, it would have been, on the left side, so stage right, outside, like at the windows that are behind the bar. And like, it was getting dark, or it was dark, but then you would see like flashes of light every once in a while. And I remember that. And I was like, oh, cool, the storm is happening. But yeah, you never really got that cool breeze to come in. Even like when we were walking down the stairs to go out, like you never really, the second stairs, when you're going down the second stairs, that's when like the coolness hit you. I don't know if you noticed it.
A little bit, yeah.
But I remember it. And I'm like, oh man, if this would have been upstairs, it would have been so nice.
The other thing that stood out for me was toward the end. It was either still counting or just before that, where they had a bunch of kids come up on stage.
Oh, right. And that was still count. Before still count. It was the last song. Yeah.
And I do remember seeing that on Instagram beforehand that they do that with a bunch of kids.
I think you said like, oh, they're gonna have kids come up or something.
Yeah. There was one kid on his dad's shoulders, back by us, where he's just like throwing up the horns and everything, which is really cool. But I don't know if he could have got up there too if they would have pushed forward. But at the same time, it's hot. We're cool. Yeah,
and the dad might have just been like, or the guy, I'm assuming it's his dad, but might have just been like, yeah. Or he seemed the kid seemed a little clingy.
Oh, did he?
Like either he was always really close to his legs or he was holding him. So I don't know if, I don't know kids very well, but if he would have been okay to go up on the stage by himself.
But it was kind of cool to see him too, just be on the shoulders, throw up the horns and having a good time. Like, I love seeing little kids.
Me too.
Just a blast.
Take your kid. I mean, I don't like kids, but take them to concerts. They're cool at concerts.
Yeah, they're fine at concerts.
Just don't take them to restaurants and let them cry or something.
Yeah. But yeah, it would have been a great show. I agree. I like Volbeat a lot. When I think of Volbeat, to me, when I see and hear Volbeat, I'm like, oh, this is what Metallica would have been if they never left the load reload sound.
Oh yeah, you said that before, yeah.
If they stayed with that sound and continued to evolve that sound, what they would have become is now what Volbeat is.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. I think this is another one where, I mean, obviously I like seeing bands multiple times, but you kind of know what's going to happen. Like with the whole Sad Man's Tongue, where before brings up Johnny Cash, and it's like, oh,
yep,
I knew that was going to happen because that happened at Rosemont. Or, like those little things, like it's no longer surprising, or it's no longer surprising, I guess. I don't know a different word, but you know it's going to happen, which is cool, but I guess it kind of brings to the show as well, like where it's like, okay, maybe people need to start changing their shows even, but not everybody's seen them 3 times or
Very fair. Everybody's
it's always somebody's first time.
Exactly.
First time seeing them or first time being at a concert,
Exactly.
That sort of thing. So even though I've said like multiple times, oh, I want to see them again, I do, but that is one downfall of seeing them multiple times is that little you don't get that little moment or whatever. It's the same thing.
There's 2 types. I guess there's, in my mind, 3 types of bands. There's like this where you're getting the same thing, the same thing, the same thing every year, every tour. Maybe a new album comes out and you sprinkle a few new songs in there, but essentially it's going to be the same sort of cadence, same thing you're expecting. Slipknot's kind of like that as well, in my mind, but they change it up, I think, enough in between tours that it's unique and different.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're getting the same stuff with new focus and maybe some older stuff now brought in. But if you see them multiple times on that same tour, you're getting the same thing. Disturbed falls in that first category, more like Volbeat, where it's essentially the exact same show. Every
what's
year,
happening.
every tour.
Yeah. Even I would go a little bit towards, like Metallica, I feel like it's a different show, different setup. Every time we've seen them, it's a different setup, it's a different show, it's a different experience. But like Avatar, you kind of know, granted, you don't know, like this setup, I didn't know what they were going to do this year or whatever, which is cool. And they changed it up a little bit. But like Before It Smells Like a Freak Show, that speech that he gives.
Yeah.
Like, which goes back to Disturbed. At the end, he's going to say, we all are disturbed. Like, it's going to happen. So, but again, that's somebody's first show.
Yeah.
So.
In the third category, you brought it up, Metallica, I think, falls a little bit into, they're dipping their toe, I think, into this third category of every show is unique, especially with their 72 seasons tour they're doing right now, where every set list is going to be unique or a little different. Like, they're doing 2 shows in a city. Both set lists are going to be different and unique.
Yeah.
Dead and Company does this. I think Clutch does this as well, where every show they play is a unique set list, and you don't know what you're going to get. Jack White does it too. I do prefer those shows a lot more because this is a unique experience. It gives you more reason to go see them multiple times. With that said, I do like seeing Volbeat, and I will go back, even though I know what I'm going to, like you were saying.
Yeah.
I want to see them again, but I know what I'm going to get. But I want to see them again. It's a good fucking time.
It's just, you don't get that excitement like you did the first time you saw them.
Yes.
Or, I guess we saw them with Slipknot, but we missed half the set with Slipknot. So I guess in my mind, the first time we saw them was at Rosemont.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to say, but because we saw them before. But like, that's the one that I remember the entire show for.
And another thing, Ghost is that same way, but the performance you get, like everything it's like seeing a movie multiple times.
Yeah.
I've seen The Dark Knight 100 fucking times.
Yeah.
I still fucking love it. I'm going to sit down and watch it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Constantly, even though I know I can, a line comes up and I can boom say that same line. Same with TV shows. I've seen it 100 times. I've seen Archer. Bok bok, there be cranes. Like, this is a 40, shorty. Like, I know those lines. I know when they're coming, but I enjoy it so much. And same thing with this. I'm going to go back to Volbeat and I'm going to check them out again, even though I know exactly what's coming.
Yeah, we have our bands that we're going to see multiple times. Almost every band that we've seen, there's only a few that where I'm like, I don't need to see them again. Very, very few.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everybody else, I'm like, oh, I'm excited for them to come back. Like, or I'm looking to see where they're going to be at next, or when they're touring next, or whatever. So.
That's a good place to end, but I have 2 other things I want to talk about. After the show.
Oh, yeah.
Again, to wrap this up, show was great. Both bands were great.
Yes.
But I couldn't really enjoy it as much as I wanted to because of the heat.
Yeah.
The heat killed it for me.
Yeah. I really feel bad for the people who are in the center of the floor in all those people. It had to be 100 times worse than us being able to move out and walk upstairs or downstairs or upstairs or wherever we went multiple times. So. And
I wanted it to cool down because of the weather coming in, but it didn't happen until the very end. And as we said, we walked there, so we have to walk back. And it starts to downpour. Yeah. And like, fuck it, whatever. I'm hot. I want to cool off. I'm going to walk.
Well, at first it's just like a little sprinkle, which wasn't bad. But then, it got to, like 2 blocks away. It was a downpour by then. And at that point, you're already soaked. Like, fuck it. We're not getting an Uber now. Yeah.
So we walked back, and it was a very bad storm. Like, not bad, but like it was a very good storm in terms of lots of lightning, wind, like whipping around, downpour rain. I love those kind of storms. But we get back to the hotel, and the same two guys that we saw at the roof and at the show, there were two doors. We walked in one, they were walked in the other across the lobby. We were like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Did you enjoy the show?" And both of us like, "Yeah, it was fucking awesome. Hot as shit, but fucking awesome." And they were drenched too, just like us.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quickly is the overall experience now with the rave.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I want to compare this to Aragon. They're very similar in terms of their age, I want to say.
They are.
Not
the ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the setup, but they're old buildings, not really central air, not really aired at all. I've had the first few times I went to Aragon, I had very bad experiences, both getting in as well as the heat and getting out. And I hated Aragon so much. The last few times we've gone there have been better. The getting in process, they've improved that a lot. Definitely not air, but they have giant fans that they blow around.
They do have fans, where this did not have a fan.
Yep. I hated the Aragon for this forever because of those reasons. The last few times, like I said, been okay. So it's gone from like one of my least favorite venues to now I consider it a venue, or it's a fine venue that I like to go to. It's not one where I'm pissed that I have to go see here, like House of Blues is now. The House of Blues was opposite. I loved going to House of Blues, and now it's like slowly working its way down my list, where now it's like, fuck, you're at the House of Blues again? Fucking go somewhere else, please. This place sucks.
Yeah.
The rave this time, though, had the same issues of getting in, and the heat was unbearable. It sucked so much. The concert could have been so much better if it wasn't for that heat.
Yeah.
However, the rave is still one of my favorite venues.
Oh, yeah.
Even though like they had these little things that were normally frustrate me to be like, this venue sucks because of this. And I was trying to think why that is, and the only thing I can think of is comparing those two again. The rave is not owned by Live Nation, where Aragon is. So that's how much weight I put on if Live Nation owns your venue or not.
Well, I mean, to think about it, like Live Nation does own the Aragon now. They could put in air conditioning.
Yeah.
And air conditioning that works well, because I think it does have some airflow, but not, I mean, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
But then like the Rave, who is privately owned, like maybe they don't have the funds to put that in, but it's like that would be one more downside for Aragon, is you have a multi-billion-dollar company, I'm sure, billion-dollar,
yeah,
who could, put in air conditioning to this building.
Yeah, even if they put air conditioning in, like this would still be.
Oh no, I agree. I guess the point that I'm bringing up is now you're owned by a multi-billion-dollar company, and you're still not taking the steps to improve the experience that your patrons are having.
Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I do put a lot of weight into if Live Nation owns your venue, you're already like on the bottom 2/3 of where I think this venue is.
Yeah.
In terms of like the hierarchy of venues. So that's just one thing I wanted to bring up. This experience wasn't the greatest at the Rave, but the Rave is still one of my top venues of all time for sure.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, we'll definitely be going back. We'll definitely be seeing Volbeat and Bad Wolves again. Nothing of this like stopped us.
Yeah.
We'll just be a little bit more cognizant next year of buying summer tickets at the Rave.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe summer tickets are going to be VIP tickets so we can get up by the windows.
By the windows, yeah. To spend that little extra money.
Just to get some cool air. Yep. But that's it. It was a fun concert, fun time. Shitty heat, but whatever. It is a summer show.
At least we don't live in like Arizona or something.
That would suck.
I mean, they've been having like 120-degree heat. So.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Go check out live music. It's fucking awesome, even in the heat.
Yep. Yeah. Bye.